This is Matt the Cat from the 50s on 5 and host of the program, Harlem. The music that led up to the big bang in popular music that we call rock and roll.
Yes, it's real gone. Can you, my loving, you know what I mean?
Each week on Harlem, I feature a different artist or record label that was very influential to the birth of rock and roll.
So bad, you're bad, let's hit the road once more.
Sometimes I do theme shows, too, like an old baseball show or show about travel and cars and such.
Say hey, say who, say Willie, that giant kid is great. Never said, girl, I've been an actor a long, long time.
This is really where it all began. From the great blues shouters like Big Joe Turner, Why Don't You Mr. Blues, Harris, and Roy Brown, to the great doo-wop groups of the early 50s, like the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Orioles. You'll hear it all on Harlem. I hope you'll join me for that prowl around the back alleys of early rock and roll.
It begins on streets called Bourbon, Beale, Union, Central, and Michigan Avenue. It moved uptown to Harlem. It pulses through every urban center and across the fields and plantations of the heartland. But it always winds up in Harlem. It rolls down the foreheads of every working American with dreams of a brighter day. It splashes into a puddle on 125th Street in Harlem. It spins off labels called Sun, Chess, Atlantic, BJ, Aladdin, Minute, and Ace. The sound reverberates through Harlem. Sometimes it sleeps in a doorway. Sometimes it keeps warm around a street-side fire. But you'll always find it every night in a juke joint up in Harlem. It's feed to you now over the XM satellites. And the sound, the energy, the spirit, and soul is pure Harlem.
Lord have mercy, Hepcats and crazy kittens. This is your furry leader, Matt the Cat, taking the A train uptown to get down to that 50s underground rhythm and blues sound. Welcome to Harlem. For the next hour, it's nothing but 50s R&B, baby. Or should I say the soul that came before rock and roll, and a special program for you. The Jacks, Why Don't You Write Me, 1955. They were an LA-based group who recorded for the Bahari Brothers' Modern and RPM labels. The Feathers would have the original version of that song, which was released a week before the Baharis got the Jacks cover version out. But the Jacks far outsold the Feathers on Why Don't You Write Me. Same thing would happen the next year in 1956, when the Jacks, only this time going under the name The Cadets, would cover the Jayhawks, Stranded in the Jungle, and far outsell them. I'm Matt the Cat. This is Harlem, the soul that came before rock and roll, 50s rhythm and blues. Let's get to the feature this week. It's on the song 60-Minute Man and the evolution of that record. Where did it come from? Did it just come off the top of Billy Ward's head one day? Absolutely not. This song goes way back to 1921. Believe that. It was written by Eddie Cantor. Not as 60-Minute Man, but as Dapper Dan, the ladies' man from Dixieland. Where I'm going with this is the Dan character. Has a long history in rhythm and blues. Now, rhythm and blues is known for many of its mythical characters, like Fanny Brown and Deacon Jones. They pop up in a lot of R&B songs. Well, so does Dan. He's the ladies' man. He's so good-looking, the ladies can't refuse. Not only is this cat good-looking, but he can love. And he can love for a long time and please the ladies. That's why it's so important. Now, the song was written by Eddie Cantor in 1921, but Cantor never recorded a version of the song. The first known recorded version of Dapper Dan, the ladies' man from Dixieland, was Frank Crummett, who cut it for Columbia Records in 1922. Crummett, who was born in 1889, began his career as a vaudeville actor, but for a brief period of time he was a singer. He cut this in 1922, and this, in my opinion, and through my research, is the first time Dan, Good Lovin' Dan, Dapper Dan, whatever you want to call him, appears on a record. So here it is, Dapper Dan, the ladies' man from Dixieland, Frank Crummett, 1922. Can I ask you about Central Avenue, the whole scene of Central Avenue in the late 40s, early 50s, the clubs that were along Central Avenue, what you remember about playing along Central Avenue, just the whole rhythm and blues scene that was going on in Los Angeles at the time?
Well, it used to be jumping. I would have that for the second Dunbar. I remember one time me and Amos Milman, Amos called me and told me he was off and I was off, and we said, let's go over to Avenue here. So he took his wife Barbara and I took a girl named Jacqueline, had her with me. We went down clubbing. We went well, Joe Liggins was playing at the corner there at that time, and across the street they had I think it was Pee Wee Creighton, I think, and down the street they had a band, Jack's Bird in the Basket, that was going to be late, and the last words was jumping there. All of these was close to one another. Every one of them was packed, you see, and
the Barrel House. Do you remember the Barrel House?
Oh yeah, that's on 108th.
That was Johnny Otis's club, right?
Yeah, 108th. Well, it was packed every night. See, that's going to be packed out there. That was a different, that's like another town. Like that was a different area. And Hunter Hancock was the disc jockey, and he was the hottest in Los Angeles for that kind of music, for rock, blues, jazz, and he was really. They had amateur hour out there too, and that would make it always. It was always big. So I just think those was the clubs. Now Jack Bird in the Basket, the Last Words, the Mimo, the Club Alabama, and they had a whole lot of other clubs though. But these was in the Barrel House, the Barrel House, the Plantation, all this was jumping.
You've been listening to the music that preceded rock and roll. You've been tuned into Harlem. Harlem was produced and hosted by Matt the Cat. Co-produced by Ken Smith and Bart Taylor. Harlem was inspired by Lee Abrams and is forever dedicated to the memory of Ray Charles. This is Slick Russell for Harlem, the showcase for the soul before rock and roll on the 50s on 5.